Guys, my name is Gorsuch. Today we're here working on Ellen. As you can see, she has a pretty strong shape. We're just gonna go in and really work on loosening up her curl pattern and putting some negative space in there, so we make the whole thing a little bit more dynamic. I'm gonna talk you through, and as always, we're coming to you from the actual salon floor here at a Mortable Oven. I'm gonna spin Ellen here so you can check out her shape existing. All right, young lady, let's do it. All right, so we're just gonna get in here and do some carving techniques, and the main point of this is to get in here and really kind of give negative space into the interior of the haircut. I'm gonna break up the exterior, but I really like the length of it, so that's where we're going today. And just wanna work with that curl pattern the whole way through. And just carve out these curls. Typically I'll start from the interior, loosen it up, and then work my way to the exterior. Picking up singular curls and working with the shape of that curl to accentuate it. So working on these types of curls really kind of renders the old lexicon of the way we cut hair into these patterns and stuff pretty useless. So we have to make constant decisions in here. I need to know exactly where I want to be short, where I need to disconnect, and where I need to alleviate weight and put that negative space in. So it's more of a visual thing. I'm sitting back far enough to pay attention to the entire shape and not just so myopically close that the only thing that I'm getting is my section. That's just a recipe for disaster with a texture like this. You're just so close, you're not really paying attention to the full shape. So at the very top and inside the crown, I'm really kind of taking off a little length as I'm doing this. Still working with that curl pattern, so I'm still trying to start my cut kind of middle of the curl pattern and then come out to the end, and that allows those curly pieces to still clump together and not fray out when she styles it at home or when she wakes up. But since I'm working a little bit shorter here in the crown, I'm going to work my way from the crown down into the perimeter. You can see the beautiful thing about working with it dry is I can see what my texturing pattern is going to do. when she styles it herself immediately. You can see how each curl is reacting to the way I'm cutting it. And then I can make decisions off of that. Do I want more separation or less separation underneath it? More negative space? Or do I want to leave it fuller? Upscale hairdressing is basically just decision making. There is no way to like follow patterns perfectly and get certain haircuts. Like even when you do that, you have to make decisions. Every single person's density is so different. You have to take that into account. In this particular case, this is an extreme example of just how curly someone's hair can be. And how punishing it can be if you do it wrong. So around the front, as I get in here, I'm just adding separation. I like the length, so I'm being really light on that, but still just trying to carve out some pieces. Above it, I want these things to like be more dynamic, so I really want to like give some separation in my connection. I don't really want it to be just as short. I want it to be a little longer, but I want it to be more dynamic, so I definitely want to get a lot of negative space in there. Stand pretty far away from this. I have to stand far enough away to be able to see the profile of the shape constantly. Start working this down into the sides now, and just starting in the front. Now I want to be a little more heavy-handed here, so we get away from that bushy side thing. I think she'll appreciate that.
Definitely will appreciate that.
So the models aren't allowed to talk?
Oh, really?
I'm just kidding.
You gotta give me some instructions.
Yeah, sorry.
Give me some direction.
Just sit there and be pretty. The French have a great saying, "Tais-toi," I'm going to butcher it, "Tais-toi et sois belle," which means shut up and be pretty.
Very harsh, man. Jeez.
Only the French can get away with that. Comes out of me, it sounds like white trash. Alright, so like right away, I can start to see if you come behind her and in the mirror, you can start to see just what me releasing that negative space on the left side does to it compared to the right side. Can you see that, cameraman? Alright, a little separation through the ends, just so I'm not staring at that the whole time. I'm going to obviously come back and attack the perimeter later, but I like to take a little bit of weight out of it, so it takes the curse off of it, so when I'm staring at it, it doesn't look way out of place. pan in close and I'll show you kind of what I'm doing. So what I want to do is grab an individual curl and come in here, and with her hair texture I'm pretty far down on my blade, and I'm just lightly walking it as I'm coming out, and you can see it like will clump that hair bit together. And then if I want, I can take that weight out and then remove length at the end of it to kind of push that curl pattern closer to her head. Now you can make some decisions here if you want like a couple pieces that are squared off and all of that. I typically don't really like the way that looks, so I don't do it as much, but you can make that decision on your own. And I'm pretty aggressive, so I'm not going over this a million times. I know people like to be really soft and like really gentle and go through it, but to me that you're just kind of thinning the haircut down. You're not really putting shape in it. So I like to do it in like 1 or 2 passes, just really be able to control that curl pattern. Constantly checking balance. I do it by feel, so I'm constantly checking my balance, and then visually as well. Crown on a texture like this is tricky. You almost want this much shorter than everything else, so I'll just keep going back to it just to make sure it blends out with what I've got going on. Because I want it to pop, and that will make the whole haircut like a little bit more dynamic. Alright, so now basically the only thing I have left is the back. So I'm going to sit down and attack that. So now I'm working down into the back. I have my shorter stuff up in the crown. I'm working down around the occipital bone and the parietal ridge. And really take that weight out. What I want to do is kind of collapse this section and really put a lot of negative space and a lot of movement into it. And then we'll make our decision if we're going to like get rid of all of this weight and kind of tuck it in, or if I'll just leave some pieciness. I kind of feel like pieciness with this general shape is going to look good. I don't really want to, I mean, it looks nice when I take it away, but like I don't really want to take it away. I just want to really like control it for her. Really aggressive with my texturing. Just going to carve out exactly where I want that hair to move and jump to. I'm sitting down not because I'm lazy, even though I am. And so I can be eye level with what I'm doing and really see it. So Ellen's a real person, a real client. So every decision I make has to be weighted with the idea and the reality that she has to wear this every single day. I'm not just putting a shape on her head that's not going to look good. I'm thinking about what it's going to wake up like, what it's going to do when she drives, air drives it. I have to think about all that because one, she's never ever going to like straighten this. It's just not going to happen. So every single cut really matters and really plays into how her hair is going to look on a daily basis. I'm just literally building up shape, and that's it. It's really not that spectacular. It's just being able to make a million different decisions on one single head, and not being able to follow any guides to speak of. You are real.
No, I'm not. I zip out off of my human suit.
So I'm just graduating this down slightly as I come through, and it's just all visual. I'm just like working the shape. As I turn, I'm constantly watching to see my shape, and if it's graduating down and it's collapsing that bottom, so I'm really getting a lot of separation and pieciness there. Now I don't really want a ton of it, so I'll come back and edge off some of that length and stuff, so it's not crazy down there in 3 weeks for her. And that all I do to take the length off is I kind of come down flat on top of it and I'm edging that off. I'm just constantly watching my shape in the two-dimensional mirror. stuff. I'm just kind of put it in negative space where I want it, just to let her curls breathe. Alright, and I'm liking how the shape's turning out, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put some bullshit on her hair. Create that.
Gotta do it again.
Tell the world how happy you are.
I'm very happy. I feel like a new human. I am a new human. And can I say something else? And this is like maybe
You
not
may.
for the camera, but like it's kind of like that episode in the soap opera where you think the character died and then they come back from the dead, and it's like I mean, oh man, dude, and I went and got my hair cut and they like wet it and then they smashed it down and then they did like, you know, they did it all wrong. And of course I don't know. But it's like, you don't even, this has been such an interesting experience because it's like, and the second they started, I was like, this is not right, this is not right, this is not right.
Well, now you get to
Listening
hear
to
all
you,
my
I know,
secrets.
listening to you talk through it, it's like, it's crazy. And I mean, I honestly, I feel like a new human. And I wasn't sure if I was ever going to feel this
I'm
way
glad
again.
you feel like a human. I'm gonna start the back up. Oh, we're good. Such amazing hair. I'm so thankful that you came in.
No, dude, I mean, I can't express how happy I am.
Well, try.
This has
Okay,
happened.
try.
I like the length on top.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I like your hair a little longer. It's fun. Alright, bro, you ready for like a reveal? Alright, so this is Ellen completed. Just like really made the haircut more dynamic and a little bit more upscale for the everyday, like wearable haircut. So I'm just gonna spin her around slowly so you can check it out. She's adorable. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My favorite.
Oh my god. I am so grateful, honestly.
Oh my God.